All right, good. Oh, that was effective. Wow. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It's the June 11th regular board meeting here at Olentangy Orange High School. I will call this meeting to order. Mr. Jenkins, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Lester?
Here.
Dr. Dabrico?
Here.
Dr. Wallach?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
And I'll note that Ms. Schreiber is on her way. She hit some traffic, so she will be here soon. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It was like when the audio.
All right.
Video is just.
We have the agenda up. I don't believe we have any amendments to that.
No.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Jenkins?
Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right, it's time for the board president's report. So we are always so excited to welcome people to our board meetings, especially to recognize students. I got to talk to a number of you outside before the meeting, and we're just so proud of everything that all of you have accomplished. And it's really a great joy for us on the board to be able to recognize you, so we're so glad to have you here tonight. I will note that that'll be the next thing as soon as I finish my president's report that we'll head into. After that, you are all free to stay for the entire board meeting. We have a lot of exciting stuff, but you do not have to, so you can go out and enjoy the rest of the night, and we will pause so that you all can go out and enjoy the rest of the evening. But obviously we'll wait until everybody's been recognized before we do that. A couple things I want to highlight. First of all, we'll be talking tonight, and it's been part of our continuing discussion. Something we always want to note at our board meetings. We had put a levy up on the ballot in the spring. Unfortunately, it did not pass, and so we as a district are taking a lot of steps to think about what our next steps are. We'll continue to discuss some of those tonight. We've discussed them at a lot of our prior board meetings. For those of you that haven't had a chance to do it, we had a board work session that's been recorded and it's up on our district website. So you can take a look at that, where we talked about what the next steps are when we'll have to go back on the ballot. And given the just tremendous growth that the district is facing, that's an inevitability that at some point we're going to have to go back on the ballot. We haven't decided exactly when, but we'll figure that out. As well as some of the steps that we're going to have to be taking to address that and what that's going to look like and what it means for the community, for our schools, and for our staff. There's a lot of things to discuss there, and we've really committed to discussing those fully, openly with the public to make sure that people understand what's going on and that everybody's voices are heard. So if you have things that you'd like to talk about, if you want to read through some of that and look at some of the information we've put out there, we're happy to discuss that with you. We encourage you to always reach out to us as board members or to the district officials if you want to talk about that or if you want to learn a little bit more. But really something that we're just going to have as part of a continuing discussion. The next point I want to highlight is one of the board action items tonight is an extension to our agreement with the Olentangy Teachers Association. The agreement itself that was last approved in 2021 will be coming to an end in 2025, and this is about the time, about a year in advance is when you start looking at those things to decide what you want to do with them, how that bargaining process is going to go. We have a really tremendous relationship with all of our associations, and we pride ourselves on creating a wonderful work environment for everyone, and we are just so thankful for the work that our staff does every day. I was talking with some of the families out there, just how inspired they've been by the teachers and the support that they've received, and it's something that we as a board are certainly very proud of. The agreement that is on the agenda tonight will cover the 1,600 plus teachers that we have. Again, the last time this was approved was in 2021, beginning in 2022. At that time, the agreement was for a 3% raise, cost of living adjustment each year of those 3 years of the contract. This new agreement, we have a recognition that we're in a little bit of a different time because of the levy failure, because of these circumstances, while also trying to balance making sure that we're really supporting our teachers and ensuring that they can have good cost of, a good way just to have a good experience. This new agreement will be for a 2.5% raise in the first year and then 3% after that. So it's a little bit less than our last agreement. It's a recognition of some of those challenges that we are facing. But ultimately, in discussions with their leadership and with district team, we felt that this was a reasonable deal for everyone, and that rather than going into a prolonged bargaining session where we're taking focus off the classroom, we're able to do it now so that we can have that support for students when school starts. So this new contract, again, is, if approved here by the full board tonight, will run from July 1, 2025 through June 30th of 2028. So those are the big points that I wanted to highlight. Do we have any committee updates?
Facilities Committee will meet tomorrow.
Okay, good. And continue I know some of that discussion is going to continue what we talked about in the board work session, so that's good. Okay, with that, then we will move to our first agenda item, which is our spring student and staff recognition. So Dr. Dabico will announce names. Mr. Meyer, I will up there, and you all want to get down.
Student.
I'm gonna. Tonight's meeting is a special one for all of us because it's the evening that we as a board get to recognize students and staff members for their outstanding achievements in co-curricular, extracurricular, and athletic activities. We're excited to celebrate some of our students, coaches, and advisors on their outstanding accomplishments this evening. As I announce your name, please walk to the stage and have your photo taken with Board President Mr. Lester and Superintendent Mr. Meyer. These photos will be mailed to your home in just a few short weeks. So we're going to start with academics representing students from all 4 of our district high schools. Ozone Robotics was named the first robotics Greater Pittsburgh regional champions and received an invitation to the World Championship. How exciting. From Liberty High School, 6th place in the category, from Liberty High School in the category of academics, 6th place in the category of Lincoln Douglas debate is Levi Lee. Well done. From Berkshire Middle School, regional geography spelling bee winner, geography winner, Kamani Burgess. Well done. Well done. Good job, buddy. Proud of you. From Liberty Middle School, C-SPAN Student Cam Award, fan favorite and runner-up in the middle school division, Ben Kurian. From Shanahan Middle School, State of Ohio Math Counts, team competition, 5th place, Ian Adams. Nazem Akia, sorry. and Emma Shee. State of Ohio Math Counts Team Competition 5th place, Individual Competition first place and 31st place in the National Math Counts Competition, Arush Crisp. State and National Math Counts Competition Coach, Advisor, TJ Luttrell. Congratulations on your academic achievements. Now, moving to performing arts. Patriots named to the Ohio Music Education Association All-State Orchestra, Austin Chen. From Olentangy Orange High School, receiving OMEA State Large Group Adjudicated Event Superior Ratings, OOHS Choraleers, and the Varsity Singers, represented today by Savi Gulati. International Championship of High School a cappella semifinalist for Best Beatboxer in the Midwest, Alex Fomba. International Championship of High School a cappella semifinalists, Above the Noise, represented by Mia Aikida. Moving to visual arts, each of our schools has a flourishing visual arts department. Students receiving recognition in the visual arts are from Berlin High School, Cameo Exhibition, the Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition, Marley Nash. Top 300 at the Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition, Sophia Mascray. From Liberty High School, Ohio Congressional Art Show representative, Audrey Hemrick. Top 300 at the Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition, Rachel Tong. Moving to journalism, earning the Ohio Scholastic Media Association first place for overall news magazine. Berlin High School, represented this evening by editors Josie Bodick, and Malia Mulig. Receiving individual honors from the Ohio Scholastic Media Association are the following: superior rating for yearbook feature photo, Eva Frazier. Continuing with Ohio Scholastic Media Association awards from Liberty High School, third place for news magazine and third place in yearbook, the Cannon staff and Silver Bullet yearbook staff under the advisement of Rebecca Granada. Earning an excellent rating in the category of multimedia package, Natalie Contini and Margaret Brown. Earning a superior rating in news feature, Nikhil Ravila. In closing, earning the Ohio Scholastic Media Association honors are the following students from Olentangy Orange High School. Superior rating for News Magazine Sports Opinion, Adam Welch. Obtaining a superior rating for Yearbook Sports Spread, Claire Fu. And also Anika Lengade. Recognized for Yearbook Student Life Copy with a superior rating, Annabella Maggi. Yearbook Sports Spread superior rating, Catherine Schwamberger. Congratulations to everyone. On behalf of the entire board, I would like to once again applaud the many outstanding students, directors, and advisors recognized this evening. We are proud of your accomplishments. Well done.
To stay, but you are free to go. So thank you all.
Age before beauty.
Okay, so we are back.
Brian Punch looks good.
So we are now moving on to our second favorite part of the board meetings, which is our annual food service update. And we're so happy to have Ms. Bethany Linko here to present to us. So Ms. Linko, go ahead.
Thank you for having me. Keeping with my tradition, I did bring some samples for everyone to try this evening. As my one assistant supervisor says, be careful what you start, mainly talking about my children, but clearly I've started this, so I did bring you some new things to try. So in the basket with the food items, you have a product. It's a fava bean crisp. It is from National Food Group. It's their line called ZZ's. So they carry a lot of our applesauce cups. They do dried fruit. And this is a new option that will meet a vegetable requirement. So there's two flavors. Oh, there's pizza and there's buffalo ranch.
And the preferred flavor is?
I prefer the buffalo ranch,
Me too.
Good to know.
but I also like both of them. So those are really yummy, and we're going to be hopefully utilizing those at all grade levels this upcoming school year. In the little cup is a chocolate spread that is made out of chickpeas. So similar to Nutella, but instead of hazelnuts, it's made with chickpeas. So obviously it's nut-free. And then you have the Scooby-Doo snacks there that you can dip it in. I also like to use it like with my apples or my banana that I might have. Then the last you have is a cookie, and that is from Riches, and that is new. It doesn't even have the branded packaging on it yet. It is a mixed berry stuffed cookie. We sell other cookies from that product line, a triple chocolate and a confetti stuffed, so that's their newest one. And then coming in the second basket are some new beverages that we started selling at the middle school and high school levels this past year. So we started working with Keurig Dr. Pepper Snapple, because they have some different product lines that we weren't able to get before. So the first you have there is Snapple Tea. It's raspberry. That's compliant for high school level. So just like anything we sell a la carte, beverages and snacks has to meet Smart Snacks in Schools, which are the federal a la carte standards. Then you have Hawaiian Punch, which is very reminiscent of my middle school and high school days. But it's reformulated for high school, so it's just compliant for high schools. And then you have the juiced Snapple, which that's compliant for middle schools and high schools, which is nice because we've been kind of stagnant with what we've been able to offer the middle school level because the restrictions they have are so strict. So that's something new that we were able to offer that grade level. So that's the samples I have now. Oops. We'll get into the update. So again, thanks for having me here tonight. I enjoy coming every year to give you an update of what happened in food service this past school year and then what we're kind of looking forward to next school year. So just as an overview, our department, we are a sponsor of the National School Lunch and School Breakfast Program, which means we are overseen at a federal level by the United States Department of Agriculture, and then from a local level we are overseen by the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce Office of Nutrition. So still getting used to saying that, but got it that time. As a department, we receive reimbursement back for every meal that we serve that meets the following criteria. So as long as the meal meets the federal meal pattern and we follow our federal requirements, and then that we offer free and reduced price meals to eligible students, we then get reimbursement back from the federal government for each meal that we served. And then another main thing that we make sure we have to follow, as I already kind of touched on, is we have to follow the Smart Snacks in Schools, which are the federal a la carte standards that pertain to both snacks and to beverages. We, as a department, operate as our own entity. So we are meant to be self-sufficient. We are meant to operate as a nonprofit department in addition to that. Which means obviously we have to pay all of our food bills that come in, pay for all of our staffing with the revenue that we receive from reimbursement from the federal government and from then also the what students pay for their meals. We have 26 on-site kitchens that are led by 26 food service managers. And then we have about 115 food service workers that do an amazing job taking care of the students on a daily basis. We do have a strong pool of food service substitutes that fill in should our employees need to be off for, sick, personal time. And then from a support standpoint, we have one maintenance position. His name is Josh Hershey. He does a great job maintaining all of our equipment and servicing it. As you can imagine, with 26 buildings, he is very busy. 2 administrative assistants, Kim Profio and Stacy Quinn. They're in the office processing free and reduced meal applications, paying the bills, answering a lot of parent phone calls and emails. And then 2 assistant supervisors, Michelle Palo and Michelle Mancini, and then myself. So Michelle and Michelle really do a good job making sure that the schools are supported and have the resources that they need to be successful to serve the students. For a real recap for this school year, so we did continue with our eligibility-based pricing for this past school year. So students were in the categories of either paid, reduced, or free. The state budget did pick up the cost for reduced meals for families. So if a family was approved for reduced price, typically in the past, they've had to pay 30 cents for breakfast and 40 cents for lunch. That was picked up by the state budget. So families were able to get their meals at no cost. And then I included our current meal pricing structure. So for a paid breakfast, it's $1.50. And then at lunch prices, our paid is $2.50 at elementary, $2.75 at middle school, and then $3 or $3.50 at high school. We have that tiered pricing structure at high school, and it's based upon what entree the student selects. That's what they're charged. And then reduced is obviously at no cost, and same with free. Federal reimbursement rates, I did include those on this slide so you could see we did not get any additional revenue from the federal government. So last year, 22-23, we got an additional 40 cents for each lunch and an additional 15 cents for each breakfast that we served. That went away for this school year. So we went back to our standard pre-COVID reimbursement rates. So 38 cents for a paid breakfast, 48 cents for a paid lunch. Reduced, we received $1.98. Reduced lunch was $3.93, and then a free breakfast, we received $2.28, and then $4.33 for each lunch. And again, those are the federal reimbursement rates that we get. And those are set typically in July, so we don't have next year's yet. But that's what they were for this past school year. Then as a recap on our total meals served. For breakfast, I gave you two columns, an average of what we serve per day, and then our yearly totals. So breakfasts, we averaged about 1,900 breakfasts per day for a total of 323,965 breakfasts. Lunch, we averaged 11,242 lunches per day for over 1.9 million lunches served. Our a la carte equivalents, that's through April because we haven't closed the books yet on May. But we averaged 7,612 for 1.1 million a la carte equivalents. Total meals served on average per day was 20,759 for a total of just under 3.4 million meals served. Then our revenue we averaged per day was about $65,423.23. Our expenses, including overhead, we averaged about $66,994.02. So we were seeing a loss of about $1,500 per operating day for this school year. What I deemed to be our biggest contributors was that we weren't getting that additional federal reimbursement that we've been getting for the past several years. We did see a slight increase in food costs, not as much as we've seen since COVID, so it's slowed down a lot, which is nice. And then we did experience 3 calamity days as a district, which unfortunately calamity days do affect our bottom line because we are paying our employees but not receiving revenue entirely on those days. And we don't make up those days, so we will never recoup that revenue. Some new things that happened or that I wanted to touch on that happened during this past school year is that we did, as a state of Ohio, they did start directly certifying students for free and reduced price meals using Medicaid. So we've always directly certified students using SNAP or OWF, Ohio Works First. But this was the first year we were able to directly certify students if they were receiving Medicaid and met income guidelines. They could automatically qualify for either free meals or reduced price meals, which was nice because they didn't have to fill out an application. They were automatically on the program. That will continue for years, for the upcoming years too. We completed a survey to elementary parents and guardians asking for feedback on their meal experience. We received over 1,400 responses, which was very happy with that response from our parents. And then new this year is a new program also by the federal government. It's called Sunbucks. So with Sunbucks, students that were approved for free or reduced price meals up until July 31st, they will receive a one-time issuance of $120 that they can use on groceries during the summer. And this is a permanent program. We did kind of pandemic EBT during the COVID, but this is now something that will be permanent for families that are approved for free and reduced price meals, that they will get that one-time issuance of $120.
So to that point, we no longer have a summer program? Is that fair?
Correct. We have not had a summer program
Couple years?
since I have been here, and I've been here 10 years.
Well, I just saw, what made me think about it was Delaware just ended theirs.
Oh, we actually do
Because of
not
lacking-
qualify to
Got it.
do a summer food program because our level of free and reduced does not meet the threshold.
What is the threshold?
I believe it's 50%,
50, 50? Okay.
I believe. I will confirm that, though. That's what sticks out in my mind.
If you can remind me what our level is of,
So with the Medicaid now, that we're able to directly certify those students, we've gone to about 12 to 13%. Prior to the Medicaid, we were at like 6 to 7%. So we have jumped up with being able to directly certify those students, which is nice that we're able to offer families a service that maybe they didn't know that they qualified for, or they never filled out an application because they weren't sure how, or whatever.
and so that entire 12% is eligible for this Sunbucks program?
Correct,
Yeah, okay.
correct. And we actually just did our first upload of that today. So I believe those payments will start going out in July, once they go through the state goes through all the data and all the names. For this upcoming school year, we are not asking for a lunch price increase or breakfast increase for the 24-25 school year. On your agenda today, we are paying back the $1 million loan that we were loaned during COVID. So we were loaned $3 million total. We've already paid back $2 million, and today we'll pay back that last $1 million. The Ohio budget will be covering the cost of reduced price meals for families for this upcoming school year, because it was a biannual budget. So that will still be offered to those families. We did get a final rule for the child nutrition program, final rule revision in April. These changes, we're still kind of going through them, but most of them will be implemented in 25-26 school year, but we're going to hopefully be proactive and start to implement some of these changes for this upcoming school year. The biggest change is we've never had an added sugar requirement, and now there will be an added sugar requirement. They're going to focus first on 3 products, being flavored milk, yogurt, and cereal, and there'll be product-based limits for those 3 items. And then that will be in 25, 26, and then 27, I think, is when you have to have 10% less of your calories need to come from added sugar. And then we've already started doing this. We were looking for a new point-of-sale system because our current point-of-sale system called Meals Plus is sunsetting at the end of this calendar year. So that will be something that we have to look at and evaluate. And then obviously we're going to focus on the opening of Peach Blow Crossing. That includes staffing has already been done. We're just finalized the small wares bid with all the spoodles and cups and containers that we need for it. So should be a busy and fun year. Any other questions?
Questions?
Just curious, from the one conference, we talked, I sat in on one of the sessions with students there were tons of different religions and non-religions in the session. And I was just wanted to get your feedback on how do we meet those different needs throughout the year? Because sometimes, it changes. It's not without difficulty keeping up with everything.
Correct. So from what we are required to offer accommodations to any students that have a disability or a life-threatening food allergy. So students that have documentation from a healthcare provider, we provide accommodations for that. We are expanding as it relates to more preferences. We've started to expand our product offerings specifically at the high school level. So we have Impossible Burger for those students that maybe choose to eat vegetarian or are vegan. We use a product called Rebellious Chicken that is also a plant-based product. So we are, unfortunately, school nutrition sometimes is a little bit more behind on trends and how you classify certain items. But we are trying to be proactive in making sure we have options available for those students that have a preference in how they may eat.
Does that include like
So-
religious?
So one option is bringing your lunch.
Or, yes, they can always choose to bring their lunch. Obviously, we want to try to provide them with
Sure.
a lunch if we can. Religious is not something we have to accommodate, but we do mark on a lot of our menus if something is vegetarian friendly or, because when you say you're vegetarian, I may not know exactly what you eat. Some people say they're vegetarian, but they eat milk, but they don't eat eggs. So we say vegetarian friendly just to make sure people realize we don't necessarily know what your definition of vegetarian is. And a lot of our pork products are actually poultry-based, so the sausage like we serve throughout the whole district is actually turkey. It's not a pork-based product. Obviously, things like pepperoni are still pork-based for the most part, but we always have the option of cheese. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks for feeding our kids.
Welcome.
So, two quick questions for you. First of all, as we're looking at the deficit, that's coming up, how do you sort of project that out year over year? Do you think this year was a bit of an outlier, or do you anticipate that continuing, based on some of these factors?
I would say I would predict it might continue just because of the cost of food, cost of labor, with the potential of where we live with calamity days. I guess I could sit down and project out a little bit further, like when we expect. We luckily were able to, over COVID, when meals were available at no cost, we were able to serve a lot of meals and do well during that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would project that going forward, probably we might be operating in a deficit.
Okay.
Especially also with maintaining equipment as our buildings are getting older.
Right.
The cost of replacing equipment has gone up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, and that makes sense. Relative to the reduced cost program for the state, you said this is year 2 of 2, so it's tied to the budget, right? That's what they're doing. Have we heard anything from our representatives? Is that a program that they intend to continue into the future? Was this a one-time thing? Do we have a sense of that?
I have not heard.
And I have not heard. It's going to continue for the next year in the biennium.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
so-
mean, that is a great program for students, especially, at that level, so it would be.
Well, and the federal government, since they couldn't extend free meals, some other states, they've used state funding to cover the cost of free meals. And I think this was Ohio's first potential step. Obviously, serving free meals someone has to pay for the meals.
Right.
So it's nice that they were able to cover the reduced cost
Right.
this time.
Right. Okay. Great. All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right, we are moving on to the OST results. So, Ms. Kenny.
Thank you so much. Good to see you. These Scooby things are like.
Good evening. My name's Jeanette Kenny. I'm the Director of Data and Continuous Improvement. Unfortunately, I don't have fun snacks and I have to follow Bethany, but
Step it up.
I do think I have some great news to share with all of you today. So we have received the preliminary results for the Ohio State tests that were administered this past spring. Those tests, just kind of as an overview, were given anytime between April 4th and May 6th was kind of our district windows for those. And the tests that we administered, grades 3 through 8 for English Language Arts, as well as ELA 2, which is typically given in the 10th grade year, Math was also grades 3 through 8, as well as Algebra 1 and Geometry. Science in grades 5 and 8, as well as high school biology. And then Social Studies, American History, and American Government. All families should have received their students' results. They were all emailed home on June 5th or 6th this year. A new state requirement or state law was that all families do have to receive those results by June 30th, so we are way ahead of the game on that. Thanks to our technology department, we've done that for the past couple of years, so it wasn't too tough for us. As far as the results, this is for elementary, so you can see the ELA and math for 3, 4, and 5, as well as 5th grade science. And in this table, you can see the percent of students who performed at proficient or better, as well as our percent of students who achieved the accomplished or advanced, which are the top 2 performance levels on the state tests. Part of the state report card, it's no longer graded, but it is reported. That expectation is they want to see 80% or better becoming proficient on those tests. So you can see at the elementary level, we have achieved that in all of the different tests. And some of the highlights, 91% of our 5th grade students were proficient or better in ELA, and 80% of those students were accomplished and advanced. Those are results that show the achievement of our students and the hard work of our teachers. For middle school, again, 6, 7, and 8, ELA, math, and then 8th grade science. Some very strong results here as well. Again, that 80% benchmark is kind of what we're looking for often. And the one area that we did not meet again this year was that 8th grade math. So we're at about 74% proficient or better with our preliminary results.
Mr. Meyer, can we ask questions when we're on a slide before we go to the next one?
Yeah, that's fine.
So for 8th grade math, if you're an 8th grader taking high school Algebra 1, your score for OST would count for Algebra 1 and you would not take 8th grade.
That is correct. So we have about half of our students taking the 8th grade math test and about half of our 8th graders taking that Algebra 1 assessment.
So half of the students are accelerated. They've already mastered 8th grade math, so they probably would have done pretty well on that test.
Yeah, so that group of students would take the 7th grade math test when they're doing all of 7th grade math, half of 8th grade, skip over that 8th grade math test because, again, they've mastered that content and they're just taking the Algebra 1.
So they never take the 8th grade.
They never take it.
And other districts force kids to take the 8th grade test, correct?
It depends on what the district's kind of program is with acceleration. We sometimes see some districts where they accelerate and kids skip over the 7th grade test. A lot of them kind of skip over that 8th grade test. But the percent of students in the state that are proficient in 8th grade math was incredibly low. It was 28%.
So we almost, not quite, tripled that, and we didn't even measure half of them that are in algebra.
Correct. Yeah, so it is a dip. It is something, though, that we are continuing to work on.
Sure.
Because obviously we want that group of students who are taking the 8th grade math test to reach those high proficiency levels, but that is one of the reasons that we tend to see that year after year.
I would imagine that also explains the difference between the percent that's proficient or better and the percentage of accomplished or advanced, because if they're scoring accomplished or advanced on the 8th grade test, they're probably already
They've moved past that.
Moved past that, yeah.
Yes, yep, absolutely. And then at the high school level, the end of course assessments, some of these are used, the ELA 2 and Algebra 1 students do have to earn a certain score to be considered competent as part of their graduation, which competent level is actually just below that proficient. It's actually in the basic range. But you can see that we had 84 and 88% respectively for ELA 2 and Algebra 1. Geometry is a test that students are required to take by the federal government. Sometimes students know that, so they don't always put their best effort forward, but still we're at 76% of our students proficient or better, 55% accomplished or advanced, so that is an area that we will continue to look at to make sure that our students are achieving at the highest levels possible. And then you can see the results there for biology, American history, and the American government results here are just from the spring. That is a semester course, so some of our students take that test in the fall and some take it in the spring. So when you see the percentage on the state report card, that might be slightly different because it's going to combine both of the administrations of that assessment. And then just some preliminary analysis. Again, we're still continuing to receive some of these results. Our students who might have a paper accommodation, we're still waiting those results. Or if something happened and there was an irregularity and they had to take a breach test, those are still going to be coming in. But compared to last year, we saw an increased proficiency percentage in 8 of the tests, and you can see those listed. And we saw an increase in accomplished and advanced performance in 10 of those tests. Also, not that we always compare ourselves to the state because we do hold ourselves as a high achieving district to a very high standard, but we did outscore state proficiency by anywhere between 17 and 39% in all of those subject areas. And so this is something that we will be continuing to monitor. Obviously, a lot of this data will feed into a lot of the measures on the state report card. So we're continuing to report all of those and monitor that as it goes into the state database to make sure it's all reported accurately. So when that report card comes out, we'll have accurate data from this achievement as well as the growth data that will come later this summer or early fall.
So any questions?
Any questions?
So I have one. I'm just, as I'm going back to the slides on the elementary and middle, it looks to me, looking at math especially, like we have climbing percentages, grade 3 goes 83% to grade 4, 89% in math, 67% to 75%, and then it dips back down in 5th grade and it dips again in 6th grade before it sort of pops back up again a little bit. I'm curious whether, sometimes you're just gonna have some variability, but I'm curious whether, that group of kids is what? They were kindergarten, 1st grade with COVID. Do we see any impacts that kind of, arise out of that? Is that something that we're tracking with that particular dip, or is it just not really statistically significant based on what we've seen elsewhere?
Yeah, I think one thing that we will continue to look at as other data points come out, not just our district data, is to see, is that a pattern that we see across the board? So does it have something to do with the calibration of that assessment, or is it unique to us? And then looking at that classroom instruction as well. I know with the implementations of, especially at the elementary level, Number Corner this year and then Full Bridges implementation, anecdotally, our teachers are very excited about the level of conversation and dialogue students are having around math and that conceptual understanding. So I think our hope is that we won't continue to see those dips, but that is something to just monitor to make sure that we have that alignment in all the grade levels so that we can kind of achieve those high levels.
Right, and I mean, obviously it's not gonna be, like just a perfect climb every year, right? I mean, it's to be understood, but I just curious with some of these other impacts that we see with a variety of things, how we're tracking on that.
Any other questions?
Any others? Good. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Niles, Superintendent's report.
All right, good evening. Have I ever said how much I like the end of the school year? And it's not because it's the end. It's not because it's the end of the school year, but it's an opportunity to honor and recognize students and staff and to celebrate so many great things that happen across our district throughout the year. Tonight, obviously, as that was evidenced by recognizing some of our students here this evening. But I wanted to recognize, we talked about, we were all at graduation, and obviously the big celebration of graduating over 1,800 seniors in May from our 4 high schools, but also wanted to recognize the end of the year celebrations in 5th and 8th grade. These are important years as 5th graders transition onto middle school and 8th graders onto high school, but just so impressed with how intentional our schools are in celebrating our students across our elementary and middle school. So you can see many, many photos here on the last day of school and the end of the year celebrations, but a lot of smiles from students. So really like to see that. So I wanted to highlight that. Also want to highlight Think Tank. As you know, we in Olentangy hold Think Tank, which is an educator-led professional learning conference. So we do that always right at the end of the school year to allow teachers to participate before maybe they go on vacation. So this year, 290 educators and administrators participated in Think Tank, which was held on May 30th. So the largest, what they tell me from the curriculum department, the largest attendance ever. Yeah, so largest attendance ever. So I was over there in the morning that day, and again, really great sessions and opportunities for our teachers to share their expertise with other professionals and to explore emerging trends, to network, collaborate across all of our disciplines. So good job to the curriculum team for putting that on, and again, just so grateful that our teachers spend time to improve their craft and make each other better. Want to highlight Kelsey Smith from the Olentangy Academy, recipient of the George B. Chapman Junior Teacher Award for Excellence in Mathematics Education through Martha Holding Jennings Foundation. So she was awarded a $1,000 grant for her classroom, and again, she does some really, really cool stuff over at the Academy. So if you have an opportunity to go through the Academy, make sure that you stop by her classroom. Congratulations to Mr. Nicola. As you know, we have in Olentangy, and in particular Orange High School, and Mr. Nicola have been pioneers, no pun intended, in girls wrestling in the area and across the state. So this year our girls wrestling team in Orange High School won the state championship. Mr. Nicola was recognized as National Coach of the Year by the National Wrestling Coaches Association for his dedication and achievement. So we for sure wanted to congratulate Mr. Nicola. I actually texted him when this news came to the district, you know, congratulations, because he's had a lot to do with influencing the sport here. And he shrugged it off and said, you know, it's not about me. We just have just great quality people in the organization and in the program. So from the student athletes to the parents, and that's really just a testament of who he is. But I know that he's had a lot to do with the growth of the sport here in Olentangy.
Well, he also does a great job with the media program.
Absolutely,
With
in
the
our
juice,
broadcast
yeah.
journalism. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, excellent job. So it doesn't stop there. Spring athletic highlights, and it's always, again, a great time because we're so proud of the tremendous academic achievement, the athletic achievement, the artistic achievement in the district. But in the end of the year, spring sports, they typically go further than the school year. So we had many athletes still participating and practicing in competition after the school year ended. So we want to highlight spring athletic highlights. So this is from Olentangy High School. Boys tennis, Sujan and Gavin finished in the top 8 doubles team in the state. Track and field, Shayla was state champion in the high jump. Hugh placed second in the 800 meter. CJ placed second in the discus. 4x400 relay team took 8th place. And then also 4x800 relay team took 4th place from Olentangy. So congratulations to the spring student athletes. Liberty High School, boys tennis, Shane placed 4th in the state individually. Christian Aria finished in the top 8 doubles team. Boys volleyball, second year in the row, semifinals, to the state semifinals, and got knocked out there in the Final Four from Liberty High School. Really exciting for Olentangy and for the Liberty High School community. I was at actually both these games over the weekend, Friday night and Saturday, girls lacrosse state champions and then boys lacrosse state champions. And again, both lacrosse teams from Liberty have been very competitive, just never been able to make it to the final, obviously win championship. So both first time in school history for both programs, so congratulations to them. Nate, state champion in the high jump. Elena, state champion in the 3,200 meter. So congratulations to both of them on that great accomplishment. Lila placed sixth in the long jump 4x100 relay team, took sixth place from Liberty High School. Orange High School boys tennis state runner-up, so made it to the finals and lost in the finals, but state runners-up. Track and field, Brooke was the state champion in the 1600 meter, and actually I had not seen the video, but Mr. O'Brien sent me the video. You really got to watch the video, and if you guys haven't seen it, you need it, I'll send it to you. I showed it to like 10 or 12 people. It's unbelievable, the finish to this race, and for Brooke to capture the state championship. So very exciting. And then Mr. O'Brien's very proud. His daughter Marin placed sixth in the 1600, and then was also part of the 4x800 relay team, who took fourth place. So as you all know, she's going on to compete at Ohio University, so I know the coach is excited to get Marin on campus this summer. Lucas placed sixth in the hammer throw, Nick third in the 200 meter, Levi placed third in the high jump, Matthew placed third in the 1600 meter, so Keith third in the 3200 meter, and then a 4x100 relay team took sixth. So just again, tremendous accomplishments and representation from us as a district at the state level. Berlin High School boys baseball, exciting run for the boys baseball team from Berlin. I was really rooting for them to make it through the state championship and win the state championship. Unfortunately, they lost in the semifinals, but just what a great story, because as we all know, the tornado that ripped through that campus and really did a lot of destruction to the athletic facilities over there in high school. And then track and field, Miles placed sixth in the 300 meter hurdles and was named Ohio. So with that, just a few superintendent action items, pretty routine tonight, but do want to recognize Shane Schoaf, who is actually here tonight and is going to be promoted from, tell me real quick again your title, what it was this past year. What? Curriculum supervisor, okay. But he's done a really good job. So this is actually a replacement for Nicole Carruthers, who vacated their professional development position. So we renamed this position. So Shane has expertise in the middle school and is going to spend a lot of time in the intermediate curriculum and innovative learning as assistant director at the middle school level. So looking forward to the work that he's going to do there with the middle school. And I know teachers are really excited for him to be in this role too, because really like working with Shane. One retirement here, classified staff from Berlin High School custodian, Edlyn Strayer. So want to recognize her. And then I'm not going to go into detail because we talked about, I've talked to all of the board members individually, but Jeff, Mr. Gordon's going to come up here and actually do a discussion item, because again, anytime that we have a lot of these business management facility items, especially because of the cost of some of the items, I like to be transparent and discuss with the board and for sure the community on how we're spending tax dollars and the reason why we need to do that. So he will be up here to discuss those items as a discussion item this evening. So looking forward, want to highlight, again, school stopped, the year's over, right? But it really doesn't stop because we have a lot of things going on over the summer. So again, want to highlight the summer enrichment, summer school, the summer programs that we have going on across our district, and many, many students who are participating, and actually out here before had parents thanking me for some of the opportunities that we're providing for kids where they can, we can provide the enrichment for students across the district to participate in. And then the next meeting is June 27th, so in a couple weeks, and we'll be back at OAO in the Berlin room on the 27th. So with that, any questions?
All right, thank you, Mr. Meyer. Mr. Jenkins.
Good evening, board members. Thought about some different ways to approach how I wanted to show you the reforecast of the 5-year forecast. didn't feel like writing some big expansive financial tome. So instead, I came up with what changes.
Are you feeling okay?
I know. So
summer blues.
what changes between the two? So essentially, the OTA contract is what drove our need to recast our forecast, and then I'll go over the key changes between what was adopted on May 7th and what I'm asking you to adopt this evening. So the biggest forecast is, or forecast change, excuse me, is that elementary schools 18, 19, and high school 5 in this particular version are out beyond June 30th of 2028. Because of that, there's staffing that's tied to new building openings. To be sure, we have staffing forecasted whether we open new buildings or not, just by growth of students. But often when you open a new building, you have to have a full complement of custodians, food service staff, secretaries, school counselors, unified arts teachers. So those types of things are going to be deferred beyond June 30th of 2028. And we focus instead between now and then on what's needed for growth just to keep up with our enrollment in existing buildings. Estimates for health insurance based on our last insurance committee meeting, which was after May the 7th, were extremely positive. Based on our rates, we are forecasting right now that there will be no increase for our insurance, health insurance rates for the 2025 plan year. Now, we're still 6 months out, but the claims data is looking really solid up to this point. And finally, the wage increases that are in place with the recommended negotiated agreement with OTA will be carried forward to our other associations and also for any non-unionized employees.
Be clear on, what you have for the major changes here of these, the school's not opening before then. This is for your forecast purposes. Obviously, we have not made any decisions
correct.
around when we would go on the ballot. We could go on the ballot, at whatever cycle we ultimately determine. But you're saying for the purposes of forecasting this out, because we don't have a passed levy, we don't have those added in.
Yes, I got an email the other day. I had to laugh. It was from JP Morgan Chase, and they were prognosticating about what the future economics would look like, and they actually took the time to define the terms anticipated, estimated, forecasted. So yeah, that is a way of saying that as it stands right now, the estimate, the forecast, which can be modified or changed based on changing circumstances at any time. That is exactly correct. And if that happens, we change the forecast accordingly.
And on the health insurance rates, while 0 may seem low, it's coming off a year where we had a premium holiday,
Correct.
right? So it's really 0 with no holiday versus a small increase with a holiday last year, correct?
Last year, we had a small increase with the holiday, and to steal the thunder of what I'll probably be talking about later in the summer, we may get the, a three is a trifecta, what's a double? We may get the, whatever it's called,
Daily double.
a 0, and we're also trending based on the health of our self-insurance account, a potential recommended another premium holiday. So those are fantastic developments, to be sure, for the district and our employees.
Right, and that's the point we want to emphasize, is that it certainly helps our employees, but it also helps the district.
Absolutely. For any premium holiday, 80% of the cost each month of health insurance premiums are paid by the employer, or obviously the tax dollars from our community. So what I've done in this graph is just to change. You can see the projected headcount enrollment has not changed in between these two graphs. Here is what we're forecasting now in June of 2024. And so, for example, you can see that if you go all the way out, we would be looking at right at 1,800 teachers, whereas we were forecasting somewhere, it's a little bit blurry, I can't see that, or I'm not seeing very well, 1856, is that what that says?
That's right. Yeah.
You can see that on our classified staff, 1,069, whereas we did have 1,078. And then for increasing programs and other things, we have 193 administrators that would have been forecasted in fiscal 28 versus we were anticipating 240. Some of that is impacted by new buildings. You have new principals, as I mentioned earlier, you would have, if you open another high school, you would have a whole complement of assistant principals, and so that's why some of those numbers have changed. If you look at it from the insurance perspective, the blue line is what we were forecasting in May of 2024 for healthcare premium costs, and the orange line is now where we are. You can see each year as you move forward how our forecast has changed, and by the time we get to 2028, that 0% that we're going to expect, now this is fiscal 25, but the 0% we're expecting in calendar year 25, which would impact fiscal 25 and fiscal 26, sets us on a pace to where we are about $4 million lower on board cost by 2028. And then you can see the same thing on dental care premiums. I did not show vision. Vision is absolutely just not a substantive cost for the district, even when annualized. So this gives a better perspective. Now you can't take what you see here and try to do the math and go backwards to how the forecast changed exactly. This is a part of it. This is what changes. Remember I talked about how we are reflecting the new staffing changes beyond June 30th. This is taking out, in aggregate, 111 positions that we originally were forecasting across the district and about $11 million in cost. Now, what would offset that, if you tried to look at the forecast and you think, why didn't it get $11 million better? What offsets that is obviously why we're here tonight too, is to consider the fact that what was in the forecast for wage increases was 2% straight for fiscals 26, 27, and 28, and now it's reflecting 2.5, 3, 3. So you've got these costs going down and those costs going up, but ultimately, and that's this slide here reflecting, here's where we were in May, straight twos, and then down here, this is the cost of steps. And that's not a mistake. Remember, administrators are on just a low-high, and there is no step or index for administrators. And here's what it is going to, with salaries that are negotiated. It is a forecast. So again, I went ahead and projected, although it's not definitive so far for classified staff and certainly for administrative staff. Those are yet to be determined. But the steps obviously stay the same in either scenario. So what this slide is, and this is where I debated, I just kind of cut to the chase. What you see, notice the title, change in forecasted amounts by revenues and expenditures from what we're submitting now in June to what we submitted in May. So a positive number is going to be better with revenue, and a negative number is going to be better, obviously, with expenses. So if you're wondering, well, how did our state aid get better? Well, I have better enrollment numbers now than I had 2 months ago. And so we have a little bit more that's coming in based on our state aid. And you can see, though, that ultimately, if you take it all the way out between unrestricted and restricted, it is not even remotely a substantive change. The food service department, that is now being reflected as a return of a long-term advance. And then if you put it all together, there are other revenue lines I did not show because they did not change. So our revenues are increasing by about $1 million. And then you can see each subsequent year, we have a slight increase next year and a very, very nominal decrease from 26, 27, 28 to where we were in May. On the expense side, when you put all those pieces we just covered together, our total personnel costs are going to be what is driving our expense reductions. So $1.5 million, 2.3 million, again, close to 2.7 million, and 3.5 million. I had an operating transfer out that was budgeted just in case. I don't think that's going to be needed. We won't need to prop up any of our other non-general funds. So when you get to the bottom, the way to read this is, our excess of revenue over expenses is now $1.3 million better. It's $1.5 million better, 2.3, 2.7, 3.4. Our cash balance at July 1 is now, starting in 2025, $1.3 million better, 2.8, 5.1, 7.8. Add those two together, that's what our change in cash balance is. So we are expecting our cash balance to be about $11.235 million better, which will add 9.28 days to our forecasted carryover. Total, if you look at the exhibit that's attached, I think we're right around 22 or 23 days. Questions about the 5-year forecast?
Which is ultimately good, right? I mean,
Yes,
we
it's
wanted
better.
that, but it doesn't fundamentally change the situation we're in relative
It does
to the
not.
levy.
No, it does not. It's better by 10 days, which for us, obviously we have a policy that shoots for, we like that number 5 years out to be more like 2 months, 60 days.
Right.
So the items on the agenda tonight, again, in the board member consent items is the approval of the amended and updated 5-year forecast. And then for the treasurer's action items, we have the minutes from the 21st and the 22nd of May. The minutes from the public hearing on the 22nd for the ESEA and Title I funds public hearing that happened before the board meeting. The long-term advance from food service to the general fund, the $1 million. The donations that you can see here to pay for supplemental coaches at Orange, Olentangy, and Berlin High School. Approval of the amended 403B plan adoption agreement. If you'll recall, at our last meeting, we approved the MOU with the CMF. This will update the adoption agreement so that the severance payments for retiring CMF staff can legally, by IRS standards, go into that accumulated leave plan. And so all of that will be on the treasurer's consent agenda item. Any questions? And we have no public participation.
All right, we're moving right along. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. So we do have a couple of discussion items that we're going to do. So first, Ms. Freeze is going to talk about an intent to rehire a retired principal.
Good evening. This discussion item is the intent to rehire retired principal Julie Lather. Mrs. Julie Lather has been with the district since 1997. She served as a curriculum supervisor, and most recently, with the completion of her 24th administrative year, she has been serving as the principal of Oak Creek Elementary. She is a very dedicated administrator, so I think she's renowned in the district for her tireless efforts to contribute to the district. So we're super excited to be able to recommend her in this capacity. She would have been, for the 2024-25 school year, she would have had a salary of $120,882. We are proposing that we rehire her at $95,000, so that is a cost savings to the district of $25,882. In addition to that, some little pieces and parts, there are year-to-year contracts, so this would be done on an annual basis, and the cost of living, or the COLA increase, which would be 3%, would be added if she was recommended for a rehire after one full calendar year. I think that's it. In addition to that, other than we will be proposing this at a future board meeting as well. This is just a discussion item this evening.
Just a question, Mr. Jenkins might best answer this. What do they do with STRS from the board share if someone's in rehire status? That doesn't still go into...
We have nothing to change. Any administrator who would be a part of the district would still continue to get, if you're asking pickup on pickup? Or
Right, yes.
Yes, they would. We have,
Okay.
That might be something this board might consider in the future, but there would be nothing to change that for one administrator.
Thank you. Good. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, Dr. Fetty with our board policy updates.
Good evening. The policy committee met at the end of May to review a batch of policies that have been presented to you for a first reading tonight. I'd like to bring these back to you on June 27th for adoption. It's a relatively unexciting batch of policies. Mostly we're following, this is the last batch from House Bill 33 last summer. Are there any questions on any of the policies that were presented?
First of all policies are exciting, so it's short. I do want to recognize that Charlie Mushi is no longer on the committee since he retired, right? And it was great. It was Daniel Short that we welcomed, right, as his replacement. It was great. We always love to have additional staff on that to bring their perspective. And he's at Heritage. He's at Heritage Elementary. Right. So it's great to have that elementary perspective too. Any other questions?
Just making note, I appreciate Mr. Meyer clarifying that in the one section where we're taking care of our young ladies, that it's not, this is like the minimum on the policy. We extend beyond that.
Correct.
Because it's not, doesn't magically, the need doesn't present itself just in middle school, so.
Right.
Yeah.
You can say menstrual products, it's okay.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. So it's good that that extends beyond
Middle school.
beyond middle school. Thank you.
And that was actually a great
Prior
contribution that Mr. Short was able to bring
Yeah.
to our policy committee meeting as an elementary assistant principal and share the elementary perspective there as well. All right, thank you.
Yes, all right. All right, Mr. Gordon, here to talk about all those various facility items.
I would talk about anything. I'm never sure to talk about it.
Good evening. Just running through a list of business office purchases items for approval tonight. The first two items are from two different furniture companies. This is part of an RFP process the district goes through to maintain the furniture in the district. So that's out of our general fund, and that's across the board, all buildings from all middle schools, elementaries, and high schools. We keep that furniture updated and rotate that through. So even though we have some newer buildings in the district, doesn't necessarily mean some of the older buildings don't have the same furniture as the newer, so we rotate that through. The second item is the district insurance. This is unfortunately a program that's seeing quite a bit of flux and increase in cost. In addition to the 15 to 30% increase that the insurance costs are seeing across the country, we also have had some additions in our policy where we've added Berlin Middle last year, Peach Blow Crossing this year. I think it was about 40 vehicles between buses and maintenance vehicles, and those all kind of came at once because of the shortage and supply chain issues with vehicles. So we had a lot of vehicles we had to wait on or couldn't find, so when we finally were able to get those, they kind of all came at once, as well as our claims losses from things like the tornado and other liability claims that we had in the district. So we've seen a significant increase there. We'll continue to work to manage that program and look for other options and alternatives. We're just, we're a big district, so we have a lot of claims. We don't have as much as other districts of our size, but it's still, for the size of our district, it's a big animal to work with. The last item that we have, the last two items, Shanahan Middle School is an update, and we're working on updating some of the exterior ephes on there as that's aged, it dries and cracks, as well as on the back side of the building. One of the additions was done with single white, meaning it's just the block on the back side, doesn't have the brick veneer with the gap. So we've had some moisture penetration there where we're going to seal that outer part of the wall and clean that up. And then the last item is the bringing the property, cleaning up the boundary line, school boundary line for our property for High School 5 up on Bunny Station Road. So this will align all of our district-owned property there within our school boundary. Will not add any students to the district, just cleans up that boundary line for us.
So, just to be clear, when we're on the ballot for the levy, there were a number of projects that we had discussed for Shanahan to help update that unfortunately we're not able to do. So can you just differentiate those from this project that we're doing here?
Yeah, there's the general maintenance and upkeep that we do at all of our buildings, whether Shanahan or in Oak Creek. We talked about Ms. Lather earlier, her building. We did a roof replacement last summer. So the work that we're doing at Shanahan currently is part of that just upkeep where we've seen a need. We've had to do exterior masonry repairs and these ephes repairs. So that's the general upkeep versus some of the renovations, things we'd proposed on the levy that included changing of cabinetry, flooring, some of those things.
Performing arts stage, some of those
Yes.
things, yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Gordon? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to the board consent action items. These include the recommended approval of the amended and updated five-year forecast and the recommended approval of the OTA collective bargaining agreement extension. We are considering these as a single consent action item unless anyone would like to have any of these taken out for separate discussion. Would anyone like to do that for these? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve these two action items?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All right. The only discussion I'll note is I do want to thank Allison Shape for her work as president of the OTA. Really just a great, thoughtful partner, as we said earlier here. We so value our teachers, all of the wonderful work they do, and that extends certainly to the leadership of the OTA, who's just really been a great thought partner and a great business partner in all of this. So certainly want to thank all of the work that you did there. Any other discussion?
I'll second that.
All right, Mr. Jenkins, do you want to call the roll?
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Yes. All right, Mr. Jenkins, if you want to present the treasure action items.
Yes. Board members, this evening, as usual, we have a list of items that I'd like you to consider as one single calendar. Item A, the approval of the minutes from May 21st. Item B, the approval of the minutes from May 22nd. Item C, the approval of the ESEA Title I funds, public hearing on the 22nd. Item D, the return of the long-term advance of $1 million from food service to general fund. And finally, item E, Item E, approval of the donations from June 11th. Item F, the approval of the updated adoption agreement, plan adoption agreement, effective June 1, 2024, for a 403B plan. And then ultimately, as mentioned, items A through F are being presented at one single motion and adoption, unless a board member would like to have one pulled out separately.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, would anyone like to have any of these considered separately? There's some good minutes in here, so. All right, we'll hear them as a group. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, Mr. Jenkins?
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Meyer, the superintendent consent action items.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lester. Board members, I recommend approval of the following superintendent action items. A, specific human resource items for certified staff. B, specific human resource items for classified staff. C, approval of student overnight out-of-state field trip. And D, approval of business management and facility items. Again, I'm asking you to approve these items as one single action and vote unless you'd like to discuss any of these items separately.
And thank you, Mr. Meyer. Would anyone like to discuss these separately? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
And a second?
Second.
I was going to jump in. All right.
Sorry.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
Okay, we'll now take a motion to convene into executive session as permitted by Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, to consider the employment of a public employee. I'll just note that we will not be taking any action after this, and we will be returning only to adjourn. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins?
Ms. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico?
Yes.
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right, thank you. 49 PM. We are coming back from executive session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Write this down in case Ryan doesn't. Any discussion?
None.
Hearing none. I will go ahead and call the roll. Dr. Davrico.
Yes.
Ms. Shriver.
Yes.
Dr. Lowe.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
And Mr. Lester, yes. All right, motion passes. We are adjourned.
All right.